Another movie review. This might be a trilogy of reviews. Maybe not. I don't know. There's a bunch of movies in this genre. The last movie that we reviewed in a similar genre was Jack, but that was more of like a scientific. He had a disability.
Oh, I thought of another one.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. Now,
17 again.
Yeah, you watch that all the time.
No,
Zac
but
Efron. Oh, and In Memory of Matthew Perry. He's in that one too.
That's why you have to watch it.
But today we're reviewing Big, starring Tom Hanks, 1988. This is his breakout role. He had been in a lot of other movies in the 80s. Volunteers with John Candy. One of my personal favorites that I grew up watching. Money Pit, among others. Splash. Bachelor Party. And then 1988, he's in Big. And this is what really brought him into the A-list category based off of the article that I read online. He was nominated for Best Actor for this role, and it's considered an iconic 80s classic. I always remember that scene there in the back of the box. This is the
piano scene, yeah.
Theatrical release, 104-minute runtime. There's a 133-minute version that I would like to see that's got a bunch of extra stuff. I've never seen that version. I've only ever seen the theatrical release.
I didn't know that either.
So this movie was co-written. It's based off of a 1987 Italian film called Da Grande, and they say it's the inspiration for this movie, and it was written by Anne Spielberg, the sister of Steven Spielberg. She co-wrote this movie with a guy named Gary Ross, who's in the industry. He's done a bunch of movies, Small Soldiers, I think, Pleasantville, one of the, I don't know. He's
Pleasantville?
Been, and her brother.
Show.
No, it's that movie with.
Oh no, it wasn't. I'm sorry, I was thinking of something else.
Brendan Fraser, isn't it?
Yeah, and that other girl.
That's Blast from the Past.
Reese Witherspoon. That's a good movie, actually.
Okay, so anyway, she co-wrote the movie with that guy, and her brother, the famed director Steven Spielberg, was originally signed on to direct it, but then he didn't want to take away from her writing credit, and then his son had recently been born, and he had also signed on to make the Academy Award-winning movie Empire of the Sun, so he ended up not doing it. And Penny Marshall, I believe she was on Laverne and Shirley, if I'm not mistaken. She directed the film. And James L. Brooks, who was a big guy in the TV world, he helped produce it. And so did, I think Spielberg was somehow affiliated it. Great soundtrack by Howard Shore. This movie was immensely successful. $18 million to make, $151 million at the box office. It was one of the highest grossing movies in 1988, I think.
It was a lot more successful than that Jack movie with Robin Williams.
Yeah, this movie, let's get right into the ratings.
Okay.
This movie was loved by critics. This is rare. 98% Rotten Tomatoes score.
Wow.
Google users are 4.4 out of 5. IMDb 7.3 out of 10. And I also agree this is an iconic movie. I am 5 out of 5 on this movie.
I'm going to say 4 out of 5 because of the scene. He's underage, you know. He's
the young character Josh, that's 13, and then he gets the Zoltar machine, and he wishes he was older. He wishes he was big, kind of gray, kind of a gray area. Thing.
But he turns into an adult.
Said, I wish I was taller.
Physically, he's an adult, but mentally, he's still 13.
Who was played by Tom Hanks, and I thought that Tom Hanks, if you're comparing this to like the adult acting like a kid, Robin Williams and Jack, there's no comparison. Hanks is just superb. He was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actor for this role. And like I said, this was kind of his breakout role. The John Hurt character, one of the villainous characters, was originally cast to be Robert De Niro, but he dropped out. Then it was John Hurt, the guy that plays the dad from Home Alone. And I believe the female love interest, Elizabeth Perkins, she was pretty good. But it is kind of like disturbing if you think about it.
Yeah, because,
I don't know. But she didn't know that, though.
Are we allowed to? This movie's been out for a long time, so I guess we're allowed to give spoilers. Yeah, so he starts dating his coworker, basically, and then he's underage, like, mentally.
But physically, he's in his
and she didn't know about it, so then they have, like, an encounter or whatever. So I feel like I can't, in good conscience, give it a 5 out of 5 because of that, because it just was kind of disturbing if you think about it, but... you know, yeah, she didn't know about it. And then he does try to tell her at one point, but he had tried to tell his own mom what happened, and she grabbed a butcher knife and was chasing him and calling him a kidnapper and screaming like, "Where's my son? What did you do with my son?"
It's traumatic.
So, if his own mom didn't believe him, then I think, you know, he kind of realizes midway when he's starting to tell the girlfriend that, you know, it's pretty unbelievable. So she's probably not gonna listen to that.
Excuse me, I'm yawning.
Or not believe it. So then he doesn't end up telling her, but she kind of figures it out along the way, and I won't give away any more of it, but yeah.
Side note, when Spielberg was originally gonna direct it, he wanted to cast Harrison Ford as the Josh character.
Ew, I can't picture that. No, I like Tom Hanks better.
And then there was this thing that I never really knew about called twin movies. Within this year, and then either the year after or the year before, there was several of these things called twin movies where completely different production companies and studios make it, but it has a very similar... One of them was called Vice Versa, which is like a body swap movie. And then
there's also Freaky Friday.
There was, yeah, that one came out in the 70s. There was another one, that's Jodie Foster. There was another one with Dudley Moore that came out. And then there was one other one that I didn't write down. And I'm sorry I didn't write down the Dudley Moore one. But there was a lot of movies that kind of either played off of each other. And this, to me, is like... I've never seen any of the other ones.
Wait,
but I think if they were anything... Oh, and then there was another one called 14 Going on 30 that came out in the 80s.
What? No, It was 13 Going on 30 with Jennifer Garner.
No, but that's the 2000s movie. There was another one from the 80s called 14 Going on 30.
Oh, 13
And I'm
Going on 30
assuming that all these other movies are just not great because of why do you know about this one, but you don't really hear about the other ones that are like in a similar genre from a similar time period.
So there was a Freaky Friday that
there was
came
an original
out with
Freaky
Jodie
Friday in the 70s that Disney put out with Jodie Foster.
I didn't know that.
And then there was the remake
with
Lindsay Lohan and Jamie Lee Curtis.
I didn't know that. I was today years old when I learned that.
Because you're not a movie savant like your old pal Corey. That's why you watch. To learn stuff.
Yeah.
Although you probably don't really watch my movie reviews. Anyway, that's pretty much it.
No, I'm in your reviews.
We're doing back-to-back reviews. So as soon as we're done shooting this, I gotta take notes because I forced Nicole to watch Old School.
And I'm sorry.
So we're gonna be reviewing this next.
I had to see what happened at the end once I started.
Stay tuned. That's all I could say.
All I can say is it's not going to be a 5 out of 5. So I guarantee you.
No, we'll talk about that then. Not now.
My rating.
This is the big movie discussion. We'll talk about Old School next. Until next time, we'll see you.
You gotta wait.
You gotta wait and tune in.